Okay, we'll just hit the record button. Welcome back. Aligning with Success, your host, Mike DiMuccio here. And I'm here tonight really just to sort of respond. I don't have an agenda. We've covered a bit of ground in the last 3 calls with an agenda, which was very specific to helping everyone gain an appreciation and awareness for the importance of our wellness subscription / auto-ship program and its significance, both immediate and long-term, in terms of creating a residual income. I tell you, residual income is the most important money, the most important way of earning money. I did a training call just a couple of days ago. I think I might want to cover some of the content in that call. I did it with the Spanish team, and then I did it again with my young entrepreneurs who are launching this cool program. I just saw they just posted this. Let's see. That's pretty cool. On the Entrepreneur Launchpad, can't read that, but you guys can probably read that. 6-week program. What does it say? 6-week program to start and scale your online wellness business. Cool, huh? You wouldn't know that was related to Nikan, but that's exactly what it is. Anyway, I might touch on that tonight because I thought it was kind of interesting. There's a lot of Botan has posted recently about cash flow quadrants, the Robert Kiyosaki work. Of course, Luis Casu Garcia was talking about leveraged income. So there's a lot of information coming at you right now that is focusing you or bringing awareness to you about the importance of creating an income stream that's not time dependent. And most people, of course, make money who need to make money, and their way of making money is they trade time for money. And if they're somebody who's really important in the work that they do, then they're extremely dependent. Their time is invariably, their income is invariably linked to them, and they can't be replaced. So that's problematic because then you're married to your job. But if you can build an income stream, an income source, independent of time, of course, it takes time to build such a thing. But once it's built, if you have this perpetual engine going where it's generating a cash flow, it doesn't have to be a lot. You would be surprised how little it takes to actually free people from a lot of their financial obligations if they just had a small income stream independent of themselves. Then this is a labor worth investing time and energy and learning, going through the learning curve, which, if you all know learning curves, they're painful, right? Learning curves are usually pretty painful. Like, you burn your hand on the oven, you learn not to touch the oven when it's hot. Things like that. That's how we kind of learn. And what people don't realize is developing a business, an entrepreneurial mindset, especially one that's going to lead you to a cash flow quadrant where you're earning income independent of time, that's a learning curve. And we're not born into that. We have to learn it. And I went through 4 years of university, a lot of hard work. I mean, 40-hour work week just in classes, and then 40 hours on top of that to do problem sets and so forth. And I don't know, 100,000 plus in educational costs, only to get a piece of paper that says I'm now qualified to start a job at minimum wage. Duh. And people are still like idiots doing that today because that's all they know. It's what they've been told. It's what they've been programmed to do. And the program fails you financially, because if we look at the statistics after 40 or 50 years of hard work, statistically speaking, we know 4% are financially independent. So what happened to the other 94%? Well, they went with the program. They did what they were told. They did what they were programmed to do. So I'm not one who's into the mainstream. I'm everything anti-mainstream, because the mainstream is what keeps you gullible, stupid, and doing the program. I'm anti-mainstream. And that's where, you're going to get information that doesn't seem right, doesn't sound right, but follow the thread, see where it leads, and find out if it's in fact where you want to go. So this conversation that we've been having over the last 3 weeks about the wellness subscription as a mechanism, one of the Niken's mechanisms for creating this income stream independent of time, why it's so important to learn it, how to activate it, how to get proficient at it is critical if you're looking for a life that leads to a different kind of life, a different quality of life. If you've got questions tonight, please raise your hand. If you've got areas that you want to cover, otherwise I will continue to just talk about the things that I was going to talk about. So if there's anything you want me to specifically cover tonight, I'd be more than happy to. It's an open call, but I do have some things I would like to talk about if you're open to more conversations about these cash flow quadrants. Marie-France, you raise your hand.
I'm curious to know, at your level, how do you invite people to show them the presentation?
I invite people to a conversation. The presentation comes when it's due. So the conversation, it's usually about what they're interested in. I'm not in a rush to sponsor people these days. So I have time on my side. I can take my time to cultivate a relationship.
But if you were,
but but you're asking me if I'm here right now. This is me now. I'm not making this up. This is how I operate.
Okay.
When I started in Niken, I was like a banshee. I mean, I was like, I had a fire under my rear. You know, I was every day, 3 to 5 people a day. I was inviting to look at this, and how I would do the invitations is a lot I think personally, I'll tell you, I had dinner Saturday night with one of the top network marketers in Canada. He's fairly well known. He's not with Niken, but he's a Niken customer and he loves the products. But we talk old school because he's still making about 40 grand a month residual income with the program he's not actively involved in. And so we relate, we have a lot of common interests. We relate to the business in a certain way. And we also relate to the changes that are in the business over time, how people's expectations have changed and the way they operate have changed and so forth. But we still strongly believe in the old methodology, that the best way is still the up close and personal. That's still the best way. We both agreed on Saturday night that the in-homes are the most important meetings of all the meetings that we have attended. And while the big meetings are incredible and they're important, the real work gets done in the in-homes. And so up close and personal. So for me, contacting and inviting people back then and still to this day, I would follow exactly the same protocol. That's why I always teach it the way I teach it. If you can get somebody's attention, until you get their attention, you're talking to the wind. So what does it take to get somebody's attention? Either find out what they're interested in, and the only way you're going to do that is if you're listening and if you're asking questions and listening for what they have to say and not waiting for your opportunity to talk. You know, you don't want to go into a conversation with your gun loaded, ready to pull the trigger. You want to go into the conversation to hear where people are at, so you get an understanding and see if they're open to more information, open to a new idea, a new way of thinking, a new way of doing things. But if you can do a demo, the most powerful demo or communication that we have going for us where our products are concerned is that we can do a demo on the spot. That's not common in network marketing. Network marketing doesn't have that going for it as a rule. We have it going for us. That's a very unique position in the marketplace of network marketing, to have a demonstrable product that you can show somebody instantly and get an effect. And that effect creates the interest. And now all of a sudden you have an opportunity to actually engage in a meaningful conversation because you got their attention. So I would always use the product as a way to stop the clock and get them to open their mind to a possible conversation. So yeah, it would be often I would go and see somebody at their office. So going back in the day, I would usually go to somebody. If they were on my list, I'd go to them. And I would get into whatever it took to get in their office. Sometimes I'd have to say things like, look, I promise you this. If I can't impress you in the first 60 seconds I'm there, I'll leave. No questions answered, right? And now they want to know, okay, sure, whatever. Because what can I possibly do in 60 seconds that's going to impress the busiest person, the most successful person that you know? I'll tell you what I can do. I can go in there, get them to stand on those insoles, do an energy test, and I got their attention.
Can I
And
tell a
that's,
story about that, Mike, that happened?
yeah,
We had breakfast with somebody last Tuesday, and somebody who's interested in investing in businesses, and he said, "Well, network marketing, I'm talking about much bigger investments." He just didn't seem to he couldn't understand how anything could really happen with network marketing with the little investments that people make. So anyway, I told him my story, but I did right there at the table in the restaurant a demo with the bracelet, the sports bracelet, and the finger test. And this guy's a boxer, and he couldn't believe the difference. It was like a switch was flipped. So now he's coming over tomorrow. It changed everything. Just that little simple, it seems crazy, but he's a boxer, so he's strong and his fingers are strong. But when he felt that difference, everything changed.
that's it. That's just it. So once you have that person's attention because of that, then they naturally want to know. Like, I've had them ask me, how much is it? I'm like, never mind that. I didn't come here to sell you a pair of insoles. I came here to talk to you about a business possibility where these are concerned. Are you open to that? And then the conversation goes in that direction. So I never use the products to sell the products, ever, not to this day. Ever do I use the products to sell the products. I use the products to sell the business. I've never not done that, and I will never change my mind about that. That's not to say that there isn't an importance to learning how to retail. I'm as good as anybody at that, but that's not my focus. My focus is always 100% of my time is to expand the organization. Why? Well, I only have so much time in a day and so many hours in a week and so many weeks in a life. So I want to maximize those hours, that time, with the most efficient and most important outcome. The thing that I'm looking for is not a customer. The thing that I'm looking for is 1,000 customers that a good business builder would lead to. So if I find a good business builder, we can add another customers to the network, 1,000 customers to the network. If I find another customer, that might be maybe a few more customers. So the highest yielding activity that I personally can do and master, which I have mastered, is recruiting people into the business opportunity. However, that doesn't always go that way. That's my focus, but it doesn't always land that way. It may land that they just are a customer, and that's fine, but it's not my focus when I go into the situation. So I'm always shaping my conversations with people with respect to what are they hearing, what are they seeing, what are they understanding? Because if network marketing comes up as an objection, I want to know what they think. I don't want to overcome the objection. It's not a game. I'm a professional. Most people would trade their lives with mine in a heartbeat if they knew what my life was like. So they just don't know. So let's give them a chance to figure it out, but without putting clubbing them over the head. So I want to ask them, well, what is your understanding of network marketing? I remember one of the conversations that Bo Tanis had with Bob Proctor, at a coffee shop. Bob set the time to meet Bo. They met at a coffee shop. Bo went on to describe a little bit about Niken, and then Bob was quickly realizing this is a network marketing opportunity that he's trying to introduce me to. How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this meeting? He's thinking in his mind. He tells the story, Bob. And so then Bob raised the question or the objection, is this network marketing? And Bo said, yes, it is. And he says, well, I'm not really interested in that. And Bo said, do you know what network marketing is? Do you understand it? He says, of course I do. He says, well, can you explain it to me then? And right then and there, Bob, this is Bob telling the story. Right then and there, Bob's like, he had me. Because I always teach that unless you can teach what you're talking about such that somebody else understands it, you don't really know it yourself. And I didn't know how to describe to him network marketing. So right then and there, Bob started to listen to learn. So it's conversational. It's helping people get a better understanding of what it is that you're excited about, what it is that you know, what you've discovered, why Nikin's different. What, in your opinion, makes Nikin unique? Because is it just a network marketing business? Is there something more to this? You know, I have no objection with network marketing at large, but a lot of network marketing companies, quite frankly, I wouldn't be a customer of their products. So that, to me, is a failure of that company if it's not a product that I'm going to purchase anyway. If I purchase it just for the excuse of being in the network, that's not a good deal for me. But if you've got a product that's a standalone, and here's the thing that I also say, another line you can use. Listen, would you agree that if you weren't interested in the product, no matter what, network marketing, otherwise, you just wouldn't be interested in the business, right? So let's not talk about that, the business. Let's just focus on the product. If I can show you this, if I can't get your attention the first 60 seconds I'm there, we'll just wrap it up there. Now I've shifted the focus away from their objection, which is network marketing, because I don't know enough about that, what they think, onto what really matters. That, hey, listen, if this is not good enough anyway, that doesn't matter, right? Sure. So let's just see if this is going to cut the mustard. Give me 60 seconds of your time. If I can impress you, that's that. Now they think, okay, I've got nothing to lose. He's already thrown the network marketing off the table, and he's only needing 60 seconds to impress me. And he says he's going to impress me. I'm curious of how he's going to impress me. So sure, well, I'll give you those 60 seconds. And now I go into their office. First thing I do, put the insoles on the ground, say, okay, here's what I want you to do. And I do the test. And now all of a sudden, same reaction Paul got. It's like, what the heck? All of a sudden, everything stops. Time stops. Now all their busyness stops, and they're right there in that moment. And I'm like, see, that's what I wanted you to see. How do you describe this over the phone? You can't. You need to see it in person. And so when somebody says, well, Tom, what can you tell me about it over the phone? I love this line that I got from one of my distributors. Hey, it's like trying to give you a haircut over the phone. If I could do that, I would, but I can't. You need to see this. You need to experience this. Now you might say, wow, that's a lot of, I mean, you're telling me now that I actually have to get in my car, drive across town, and go see people. Well, think about business for a second. Any business, good business. How does it get done? The best business deals happen on a golf course. They happen in a restaurant. They happen in social situations. They don't usually happen over the phone. The phone is just to make the arrangements, and then you get together, and that's when the real magic happens in every major way, in the big deals and the little deals. So get together with people, because if that person ends up becoming a customer, that's going to generate revenue. And if they're a customer for life, it's going to generate quite a bit of revenue. If that person refers you to a handful of people, more revenue. If that person joins the team and starts building a business, you know, isn't that what we're after here? So is it worth the investment of time? So now the question becomes not, is it worth the investment of time? Am I talking to the right person? Becomes the question. Am I investing my time in the right person if I'm going to drive across town? So now you have to be a little bit more aware of who you're talking to, and what about them intrigues you about having them learn about this. So yeah, that's why my style, my approach of the business is a little bit more labor intensive, but it's also produced the biggest results. When I was starting at first, I just did a lot of that. And yes, I was not as picky, and I didn't spend as much time with individuals, because now it was really a race to see how many people could I get exposed in a short period of time, because we were in launch mode. And in launch mode, you're racing against the clock. You don't have all day. You don't have all month. You're trying to create an explosion. You're trying to create a check when you're launching a business like this, what's the thing that's going to impress the people the most that you want to introduce this to, or your friends and family for that matter? It's going to be that check. So you got to produce a check. Well, me as a sponsor, my goal is to help you produce a check in your first 30, 60, 90 days that would impress anybody as a startup business. So we're racing against the clock. And the only thing we can control is who we're talking to and how many people we're talking to in that time frame. That's the only thing we control, because the story is the story, the products are the products, the business is the business, the compensation plan is the compensation plan. The only thing I have to control is how many people are we talking with and who are these people? And so I spend a bit of time before I launch somebody making sure that we have a list. And not just 5 people. Oh, I got 5 names. Oh, great. Let's go talk to those 5 people. I'm not interested in wasting 5 hours with 5 people who are just the first 5 people that come to mind. Give me a list of 100 names. Then we're going to look at that list, qualify it. And then I want the top 30. And then from those top 30, give me the top 10. Let's get in the car. Now, at least I'm doing what I can to ensure that my time is not being wasted, because we're going to go and see some people who've got some real quality about them. And I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get their attention as quickly as I can to invite them to explore this possibility with us. That's the best I can do as a sponsor when I'm going out doing ABC calls with somebody. I don't decide if somebody's going to get in the business or not. They do that, but I got to give them the best possibility of exposing it in a way that's quality, high quality. It feels good. It creates an impact. It's not just me talking. I don't know. I'm going on about this. Paul, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, the people that you said, if you give me 60 seconds in your office, were these people on your list and people that you knew, or people on other people's
Both.
Lists? Both, right?
Yeah. So
they weren't total strangers then. Somebody knew somebody.
No, if it's a stranger, then the first thing I need to establish is, how do I know this person? So if I'm not an A in an ABC, and the B is making the connection, if it's a referral, the first thing I need to establish is, who am I calling you? Why am I calling you? And so I established that by how I got that name. So how did I get that name? I would ask the person for a referral. I wouldn't just say, who do you know? I would say, who do you know that has a lot of ambition, really appreciates the value of time and money? There's a that's a qualifying question. Or who do you know that really appreciates the value of their health? That's a qualifying question. Of all the people you know, who is the person you know who appreciates health the most? Of all the people you know, which one person appreciates the value of their time the most? So when you ask that question, of all the people you know, which one person, it causes their mind to go into a focus, so they can focus on a name that best fits that description. It's a powerful question. If you just say, who do you know? Oh, just like saying, what's your favorite movie? It's like, oh shit, I've seen so many movies, which too many. If I said, what's your favorite sci-fi film? That narrows the list down quite a bit. If I said, what's your favorite sci-fi film that stars Will Smith? That narrows it down. You know what I'm saying? So the question you ask causes them to narrow down their focus. So that's another thing, getting really good at asking questions and getting questions that are really specific, so that you, for instance, when we got on this call, Marie-France was saying, I want to in, I don't know what exactly where she said, but something about a Zoom call in English. I wanted to do a Zoom call in English. And what she was actually, we figured it out after a while of me asking questions, was she wanted to invite me to do a call with her in English on Zoom. So I had to ask a few questions to figure out what the heck she's talking about. So get good at asking questions so that you really so you really start to have communication. That's the greatest gift is to be a good communicator in everything, whether it's a relationship, whether it's misunderstandings, whatever. Just get really good at asking questions and listening to see, are we on the same page? Are we really talking about the same thing? I wrote this down when we were talking, Paul. I wrote, time is our currency. So people are used to investing money to make money if they have any money to invest. And now more and more people are reluctant or hesitant to make those types of investments. They've lost money here or there. They've lost money in the market, whatnot. The currency that we deal in, network marketing, is time. That's our currency. Why? Because you don't need money. Everybody has the same 24 hours, and we're going to show you how to leverage a portion of those 24 hours to multiply time. If I have 10 hours a week that I can dedicate to Nikan, and I find 10 people on my team to dedicate 10 hours, that's now 110 hours working in my Nikan business. Nobody's working any more than 10. That's powerful. That's leveraging time. Now, if one person does, $10 a business and another person does $100 a business, it's all adding up and you all get a percentage of that. So you now have a methodology, a system that everybody can do because it's about something everybody has. Not everybody has money to invest, but everybody has time to invest if they understand the value of the investment of that time, which is why we got to get really good at talking about what we've been talking about the last 3 weeks. Leverage time. Not sure what happened here. I've been signed out. Okay, whatever. Let me talk about this for a second here.
That was good time. I thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. Okay, these are the cash flow quadrants, ESBI. So left-hand side is employee, small business owner or proprietor or professional. B on the right-hand side, that's the big business, and I is investment. So in the I category, we leave that out because it's only 1% of the population that make any money in there, and you got to have money to make money in the investment quadrant. So we're not there yet. We want to get to the B quadrant, but most people start out in the E quadrant. Now, if I talk to 100 people, not knowing how many of those 100 people do you think are going to be employees?
95%.
Well, in the E quadrant, for sure, 75%, because 75% of the population are employed. 20% are self-employed. There's your 95%. So they're on the left-hand side. 4% are in the B quadrant. What are the chances I'm going to actually encounter a B quadrant person? Well, it's about 4% in 100. And it's 1% in 100 that I'm going to be talking to an investment person who's actually making any money in investments. So let's go back to this for a second. So I'm talking to 100 people. If I'm not aware of where somebody is coming from, which quadrant they're coming from, then how am I going to present Nikan as a solution for their situation when I don't even know what their situation is? But if I'm talking to a B quadrant person about Nikan as a financial solution, it's not going to be the same conversation as if I'm talking to an E quadrant person. Why? Because they don't have the same needs. An E quadrant person, what do they need where money is concerned? The answer?
Security.
Yeah.
They want security.
They want security. That's the emotion that drives them. But what they want is more money.
Yeah.
The reason why they want more money is because they're not making enough with the time that they've got going, or where they've invested their time in terms of a job. So they want more. And so for them, my conversation would be, how would you like to earn more? Would you like to earn more money? Would be a simple question to ask them. But a B quadrant person that's not the question that's going to drive a B quadrant person. What's going to drive it? Well, let's get to the B quadrant last. What would be an S quadrant? Let's say you're talking to somebody who's self-employed. They sell insurance, they sell real estate, they own a small restaurant or a small shop or something like that. What is the money conversation where they're concerned?
They want more time. They're maxed out in
Yeah,
terms of.
they want more time. That's the thing. So they still want security, but they want more time because they are maxed out. They are running 100 miles an hour in 5 directions. So for them, the conversation about more money is not about more money. It's about more time. How would you like to find a way to have more time? That's the money conversation for the S quadrant person. So we're still talking about money, but you see, it's a different conversation depending on who I'm talking with. Now let's switch over to the B quadrant. What drives a B quadrant person?
I think they want their investments to somehow go further in some way.
Okay, what's their emotional connection to money?
Freedom.
Freedom. So freedom is what drives them. So asking them if they want more money, money is not their problem. That's not what pulls their interest. What pulls their interest is things that associate themselves with freedom, and the freedom to do what?
Whatever they want.
Yeah, whatever they want. And it's usually something more meaningful, right? Because if you have money, you're looking for purpose. So they're more driven by a meaningful way of earning money. So it's how are we earn? One wants more money, that's the E quadrant. One wants money, but they need time. So they want more time. You got to show them how that translates into have a leveraged income. But the B quadrant person already understands that. What do they want? Purpose. They want more meaning. They want more fulfillment because they're already making money. I personally
Bruce,
have,
right?
yeah,
that was Bruce
and Marty. I
Marty,
recruited personally recruited 2 millionaires, not because they needed more money or more time. They just wanted more meaning, and those were 2 of my biggest acquisitions in ECAN in terms of the impact that had on the industry and on our network. So we're still talking about ECAN as a possibility. We're still talking about money, but it's the relationship people have to money is what you need to be more aware of depending on who you're talking to.
So did Bruce listen because of his, like, the product experience with his knee that switched everything, and then boom, purpose? Is that how do you think it worked?
When I first called him, when I actually picked up the phone to call him and invite him to meet with me, I was going to drive him, go and see him in his office. I told him that he was, first of all, I complimented him. That's the first thing. My structure for doing a call is always the same. Tell them why you're calling them. Tell them about them, why you're calling them as a person, as a human being. And I said, Bruce, I really admire and I respect you. I really appreciate the way you've treated me these years. So it was a compliment based on his character and the relationship we've had between the 2 of us. Then I transitioned to, what I've come across, which now I'm transitioning to what I think might be something on that might interest him. A way to make a difference, a significant difference. It's already happening. It's been working in Japan for, I can't remember at that time, 16 years, I think it was. And it's impacting people's by the millions. I think this is a way that somebody like you with your influence could really make a difference. And oh, by the way, we might even make some money at this. So those were the 2 pillars that I touched. Make a difference. And oh, by the way, maybe even make some money at this. That's all I said. Maybe even make some money at this.
And why did you say maybe instead of like?
Because he already had money. He's already a millionaire and I'm not. So me telling him that, well, we're going to make millions, this sound like an idiot. I'm an idiot. What do you know about making millions, Mike? Nothing. So I said, oh, we might even make some money at this, being very modest about that. Because the hot button for him was really about making a difference. And I didn't want to discredit myself by saying we're going to make a bunch of money because I don't know anything about that. But I could say we might make some, and that is at least a modest approach and intriguing and curiosity piquing and whatever. Anyway, he said, sure. I said, oh, and by the way, if this may not be for you. I said that. So I'm taking it away before I'm even giving it to him. This may not be for you. Again, very modest, but very accurate. And I said, if it's not, maybe you'll think of somebody along the way who I can share this and you can point me in the right direction. And then he said, sure, kid, come on over, show me what you got. And that's exactly what he said. I quote, I'll never forget those words. So I jump in my car, go to his office, armed with my magnet, the only one I had. And my goal here is to have some kind of an impact on him the way it had on me. So I started telling him about what happened with me and my dad. And he said, do you think this can help my knee? Now, it's really interesting because a number of years later, we were in a wellness preview and Bruce Black was asked to come to the front and tell his story. And here's how his story begins. So Mike knew I had this problem with my knee. So he came over to show me this product. I had no idea he had a problem with his knee. I did not go over to show him the product.
Yeah.
So what I learned in that listening, this is years later, what I learned from hearing him say that story was he didn't start recording the information consciously until I got his attention. Until then, it was just subconscious. It was just in the background. But what was in the background was make a difference, maybe even make some money. That was in the background, but he wasn't recording what was going on until something happened with his knee. When we scotch taped the magnet to his knee and he got that reaction that he did after about 5 minutes, and all of a sudden the story begins for Bruce. Oh my God, this guy, this product, this knee, everything before that was blurred. So until you get that connection, until you make that thing happen, that magical moment of creating interest where they actually are interested, they're not hearing anything. And so it's really important we get that moment to happen and we become aware. If we haven't had that moment, don't go on, don't move on, don't deliver a presentation, don't invite them to get that moment to happen because they're not going to invest time. Have you invited people to events they didn't show up at? They're not going to. It's time. It's their most precious commodity, and that's the thing they're short on. And you think they're going to just give it over to you for something that is an unknown, where they don't really understand the value? No way. They'll say yes to please you, so they get you off their back, get on to the next thing in their life, and then they'll make an excuse for why they didn't show up. That's just human nature. It's just the way we do things. Called creative avoidance. People do that 99% of the time in the day. Think about all the things you said you were going to get done today that you didn't. And you find one reason or another to not do it because it's called creative avoidance. It's what you don't really want to do it. You have to do it. You don't want to do it. So you avoid doing it in some way. And then you make up some excuse as to why it didn't get done. How often does that happen in your week? So we become so conditioned to lead a life that is inconsistent with what we really want, that we just make excuses for why we don't get what we want. It's just become second nature to us. And then when somebody calls you on it, you get pissed off at them. They're trying to help you. They're trying to say, wait a second, you said you were going to do this and now you're not. It's like, well, what's it to you? It's none of your business. Blah, blah. It's so funny. We get offended if somebody catches us in a lie. So, I mean, I think, the real value of a business like this, if you stick it out and you see the benefits and you start to reap some of those benefits, is it's a gradual process of becoming more. Humans being more is legit. It's real. And I always played with what does it mean? Becoming more what? And my answer to that is becoming more in alignment with that which we really are. Godlike, innocent, beautiful, loving, peaceful. That's the truth. That's the innate nature of humanity and humans. And because we were born in the likeness and image of our Creator, it says so. Either you believe that or you don't. If you don't, too bad for you. You got a shitty life ahead of you. But if you do believe that and you understand that, you work toward it. You make a conscious effort to actually work toward that reality, and you become a better person, a more upstanding person, a person who says what they mean what they say, And then you don't mince words. And then when you catch people when they're off, it's not because you're trying to say, oh, shame on you. That's not the intention. The intention is, wait, I heard what you said, but you're not saying it like you mean it. Can you clarify that for me? And that's good when you do that, because it gives them a chance. You're putting a mirror up. It gives them a chance to make a decision at that moment, rather than be the guy who accepts the lie, or the girl who accepts the lie, and then just go on their merry way doing more of the same. I wasn't born to keep the agenda afloat. I was born to bring it right down to its knees, to give people their sovereignty back, to remind them of their true nature and their true relationship with their creator. You know, God is not my money. Money is not my God. The government is not my God. The law is not my God. It's all man-made crap. And it'll always be subservient to the real God, to the real creator, to the real law. I'd rather know that and have a relationship with that than all the superficial crap that people deal with on a daily basis, thinking that that's real. It changes with the wind. It changes with whoever you elect. It changes with whoever's got the stick, the biggest stick at the time. I'd rather put my investment of time and energy into something that's eternal. Think about it. And if you find a business that actually encourages that your success in that business is really dependent on you becoming more and more aware of those universal truths and to work with those universal truths, that's a great business. Even if you don't make a penny, keep working at it, because if it's making you a better person, you will get your just desserts. I promise. Any questions?
Well, I was going to go back to your time analogy, not to get away from what you were saying, that is very profound, that even if nothing were to happen, if you become a human being more, that's great. But I was at one time at a very rich person's place of business with Bruce, and he said to me, don't be so impressed by the exteriors, because you don't know what money is going in, and you don't know what money is going out to keep that money going in. And it might just be, you know, a sum zero. And that's why this time analogy is, or not analogy, but this time reference is so important, because we're the only ones who have the time leverage. And so, but that was a valuable lesson from him, that you just don't know what's going on with people's money.
It's true. But you can tell people, you can tell if they're happy. You get a sense about that. You can tell if they're fulfilled. You can tell that. You can tell if they're stressed. You can tell if, you know, there's a lot of things you can tell if you're really listening for it. If you're not so busy trying to present, wait, you'll get your chance to present. If you land that conversation, if you really get to a place where that person's open to listening, you'll get your chance. And then that's a really simple presentation to have, you know, because they want to hear. It's hard to have a presentation when, you know, they're answering phone calls, doing emails, texting, whatever. You know, it's hard to have a conversation with somebody who's at 3 different places at the same time. And that's, again, another new condition that we're dealing with. So try and be more present and be more aware of what's going on in their life. And I personally think that a personal encounter is always going to be more of an opportunity than a remote encounter. It's not to say that we can't build our business remotely. You can, but meaningful business, no. I don't think if you're not prepared to get on a plane at some point in time to meet with that person you sponsored in Southern Missouri, you're probably not going to have that you're not going to have a great relationship there, and you're probably not going to have that great of a business. It takes something, at least an initial connection. So you might sponsor that person, but if you really want to get that thing going, be prepared to travel. You know, a lot of my career building the Nikken business, I was traveling. And, you know, I have the residual income that I have today that is solid because the business and the relationships are solid. So, and I'm not saying that you're going to have a relationship with everybody, but a handful of people, at least a handful, really good relationships, I think are the key. And it helps when we have live events, when we have Nikken live events, because a lot of the times we would see each other there. That would be the one place where for sure, we would meet in person is at, you know, a Nikken convention or something. And that's going to come back on stream as well, probably in 2023. So, yeah, just, I think it's okay if you think to build locally, you know, majority of my business I built locally. Sometimes I went, when I launched in Quebec. So here's my story of launching in Quebec. I ran ads. I ran some ads and I think they got at that time they had 2 newspapers, and I did an ad in French and in English. And it said something like Japanese giant launches Quebec. I think that was the caption. And just a few blurbs about, you know, rock solid, 16-year, 20-year company, 481 Dun & Bradstreet, blah, 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 just things like that. And then a number, 24 hours. So they knew they could call this number and they would hear a message because nobody's on the phone for 24 hours. So it implied there was a voice message. So they would get on the phone and they would call and they would hear a voice message that was professionally scripted. And it gave a little bit more information about who we are, what we're doing, what we're looking for, and the opportunity to meet. And that's what I did. I then would screen those calls or return the calls, meet the people, and then I would get in my car and drive to Montreal and park myself at 6600 Côte de Liesse, the Holiday Inn, because I was there so many times. And it wasn't an expensive hotel, but it was efficient. It was sort of central. And I did interviews. I met people. And 2 of my diamonds came from that first ad campaign. And that's just how I started the Quebec market, because I didn't know anybody there, but I made myself present. And then I met with them every month. I would drive to Montreal. So that was a regular stop for me to get things up and running. And that's, I think, an important part of the business is those relationships. So I'm going to be in Montreal this month, working with Leo's team on the 26th, I believe it is. And so I think and I say most of you recognize that Leo's team has got a lot of activity going on. Most of the silvers that are coming in North America are coming from that organization. And if you ask them, what is it that they're doing different than maybe what you're doing, you'll probably find out that they're doing what I'm saying. They're meeting people in person. In fact, I was talking with Leo last week, and he said one of his best meetings is his breakfast meeting on, is it Sundays, Leo? His Sunday breakfast meeting. Breakfast, Sundays.
Yeah. Sunday, of course.
Yeah.
Each meeting, 99% guests become customer or consultant, 99%.
Just having a breakfast meeting. And then he does a simple presentation, nothing complicated, no PowerPoint, right?
Nope.
No PowerPoint, few demonstrations,
And
conversations, testimonials, right?
that's
All while everybody's buying their own breakfast. And
Yeah.
sometimes maybe you pay for a guest or two, and you do it at a local place that they have a room in the back. Is that what you told me?
Yeah, private room.
So think about that. That's where a lot of the business is happening. That sounds a lot like an in-person meeting to me, right? So
Average of 25 to 35 people each breakfast.
each breakfast.
Yes, average.
You need to have more breakfast, Leo.
I have one. This Sunday's coming. I have one.
That's awesome. So yeah, there you go. Any questions?
Yeah, Mike, what made you decide to go into Quebec, given the language, different language and stuff? I know it's in Canada, but
I had a vision. I wanted to be the #1 distributor in Canada. And that
Okay.
means I had to have presence in all the provinces. And Quebec is notably one of the best provinces for network marketing.
Thank you, Mike. I'm happy you did that. I have no more pain now.
Awesome. So yeah, I made a decision. And when I launched in Mexico, I did the exact same thing. I just did everything in Spanish. And because I didn't speak Spanish, I recruited one of my downline to go with me who did speak Spanish. And she did the translations in real time when we were doing our presentations. Mark.
Yeah, I like to add, I have an experience on the weekend. We can do breakfast, we can do everything to try to bring people. But if the people are not ready to see the presentation, it will not work. I explained my thing. My two sons saw the presentation, they all come at my place, show all the small tests, and they do nothing about that. They come after at one of the breakfasts, and with one of my son have a girlfriend, and they do nothing yet again. So I bought them for their birthday some semel, and on the weekend my older souls, and on the weekend my older son do the test of the soul to his mother. And in the past, I asked her, and I want to show her that because she have the fibromyalgia. So I know she can, the product can help her, but she was not ready because I do other MLM in the past, and I didn't have success because I'm not ready. My personal thing was not resolved in myself, and they told me now it's so. When you do the tests, you have automatically some result with the test. So now she's ready to have a presentation, and also the grandfather will like to see the presentation. So
amazing.
We need to be patient and wait that the people are ready to see it. And we need to have some good vibration to that the people are ready to, that they come to us by themselves.
Mark, that's a really important point, and it's especially important if you see the concept of the last 3 weeks, the idea of having a residual income, building it, because it takes time. Network marketing, the people who come and go out of network marketing, they're the ones that are looking for $10,000, $20,000 checks. Show me the money, show me the fast checks, the bling. And then they're on to their next deal and their next deal. They're junkies. We call them MLM junkies for a reason. They're like, give me the injection, give me the, and then they're off. When that sales away, they're off to the next thing. But the ones who stick around and build this methodically and slowly, they grow the business, they grow their presence, they grow their credibility, they grow their confidence, they grow their understanding, and they start to build good relationships with people. That's going to create long-term residual income. And as that grows over the next 3, 5, 10 years, at least you now have a retirement plan. At least you now have a plan to support or supplant your pension. That's based on a legitimate business that you built privately, part-time, on the side. It wasn't something you had to force. And by the way, this is something I took away from that meeting on Saturday. My buddy, who has a lot of success in French Canada, he said one of the things that he was having a lot of success with is offering business people, so these are the S quadrant people, a way to create a pension for their retirement that doesn't interfere with their current business. Whoa, what a great angle. So write that one down. How would you like to look at a way to create an additional pension that doesn't interfere with your current business? So they're thinking long-term. They're thinking a way that they're going to have something on the side or something for them independent of, a pension when it's time to retire. So it's not like I have to have my $20,000 check this month. That's short-term thinking, flash in the pan, BS, because how many people actually see that? But if you sell it right, with the credibility that Nikken has. Nikken's 47 years in business, almost 48 years. You know, that's a hell of a long time to prove to anybody that this is a business that's long-term. It's going to be around. So to build your pension, to build it over time, that's a wise thing to do. It's a wise investment of time. Don't get lured away from flash in the pan stuff. That's not real. Linda, you have your hand up. Last question.
Yes. Oh, great. Thanks, Mike. Great call, by the way. Excellent. I was reminded, being here in Washington, this is the epicenter for Nikken, as everybody mostly knows. When I first joined back in 2006, we did the same thing that you and Leo are doing and had a lot of great success. We had breakfasts on Tuesday mornings, and the Branhams were the host of it. And we would meet every Tuesday from, I think, 9 to 10:30. That was our time. And it was great for people that maybe worked in the afternoon or couldn't come to what we used to call wellness previews. Remember those? So that was our door opener. We sold no product. We just shared testimonies and talked about our experience with Nikken. Of course, I was a newbie, so I'm learning from the Brannons and I'm learning from all these great people. Dr. Johnson, who was a dentist in Gig Harbor, and other people that had been around for a while and had gone into rank. We got so much success from those breakfasts. And then, of course, because of health issues, Chuck could no longer go, and so we disbanded them. But I got a lot of leverage, and we all did, from those breakfasts. And then we would have a follow-up on every Thursday when we would have what we would back in the day call the wellness previews. Once again, we sold no product, but the Branhams would have a special deal with this place where we would do it every week, right here locally in Tacoma. And they would have the sleep system out, they would have the air, we would give the balance test. And once again, it was testimonials and little freebie things. But basically, this is how we connect. And this is how I got to meet them. My first time I just learned about Nikken, over the 4th of July weekend. And here it is a few days later, and I'm meeting one of the top people. And then he invites me to their home in Graham, and one thing goes after another. But it was that closeness, little small groups. We're not selling product, but we're giving you a chance to experience what we're talking about. Beautiful. So it's one thing to say how great the sleep is and, the test, but until you see people, and it never gets old. I've seen, the balance test, I don't know how many, hundreds of times. It never gets old. It's always exciting. And they say, wait a minute, what is that? Do that again. It will be a big guy with a little person or vice versa. It doesn't matter your size. Doesn't matter if you're an athlete, whatever you are. It is nothing like having that balance test with the insoles on the floor and doing that thing. I'm telling you, that sells more than all the talking in the world. Because once again, like you're saying, it's the one-on-one contact. So as time goes on, now that we're coming away from COVID a bit, perhaps in the new year, we can get back to that again, because I'd love to spearhead that again here in our area. But I just wanted to share the importance of that one-on-one connection, and having one in the evening on a Thursday, and then we had one for breakfast on Tuesdays, and just for 90 minutes. So we didn't want to take up a lot of their time. And then some people want to stay longer and tell me more, and that's how we generated a lot of activity. So thank you for this. It was an excellent call.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thanks for the feedback and the reinforcement. So yeah, I think we have our homework. Start a breakfast meeting and let it grow. And when you're starting at first, maybe you're going to have breakfast by yourself a few times. Don't worry about it. Enjoy the time. Make a few calls. Meet some people that come into the place. Don't be so concerned. You're on a journey, you're on a path, and it's the right one. Sometimes these things take a little bit longer than we hope, but they're worth it. That's what's important. Is it worth it? That's what you have to ask yourself. Is it worth learning how to do this and do this well? Because what's the aftermath of a successful Nikken entrepreneur business? It's a business that generates income, residual income. Barb, we want to wrap up here. We're at 10:01.
Just a quick comment, Mike. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback by sharing the immunity video done by Roger.
Okay.
Really positive. People didn't realize that some of the mushrooms had been used in Japan in the treatment of cancer. And the fact that some of the mushrooms are proprietary just to Nikken there's more enthusiasm, and I'm expecting some orders because several people have commented that they had no idea the full potential of the immunity product.
Did you send them the abridged version or the full length?
No, I sent them just the clip of the immunity because we
Okay.
were talking about building our wellness subscription.
Are we ready to share those links? Are they, can you just maybe send them to me one more time in order so I can distribute them again?
Yeah, sure. And I've also got, I sent you the picture of him, but what I did was I just took the link and I've been sending out just a notification with the link to each of the videos that they can just click on in an email and open it up without taking up a lot of space, like in a text or in a full email.
Send it to me like you'd send it to them.
Okay.
Okay, great.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody, for joining tonight. I think I'm going to call this call "Time is Our Currency." So look for it. I'll post the recording shortly. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.